Fairy tale characters find their storylines intertwining on stage in the Stephen Sondheim musical Into the Woods. And this weekend, you can catch the show here in Tulsa, starring some local talent from the Tulsa Opera. This afternoon, we're talking with one of the stars of the show, Curt Olds. Curt, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. For those that are unfamiliar, that have never seen this show, tell us a little background about Into the Woods. What's it about?
Well, Into the Woods is a Stephen Sondheim musical, and for those fans of musical theater, he is more or less a god to us, the way he puts words and music together. Of course, Into the Woods is a very famous movie at this point, and it's a show from the mid-'80s, and it mixes, kind of puts the Grimm's fairy tales in a blender and spins them together, and you sort of see what happens after Happily Ever After. You know, you reach that point in a book, but then we have a second act that sort of says, what happens when you get your dreams?
Yeah. So for all those kids out there, before it was a movie, it was a Broadway show.
It was a Broadway show, yeah.
You play the baker. Tell us about that character. What's the preparation like for that?
Yeah, it's a rather large role, and a large role in the Stephen Sondheim musicals. And I like to think the baker, and I have a wife, the baker's wife, and we are sort of those characters that are created to hold the rest of them together, Rapunzel and Little Red and all those ones we know more about. And so the baker and his wife sort of hold it together and go from story to story. So it's very fulfilling to play.
Absolutely. We mentioned the movie. What's the difference between, for those that may have seen the movie, they want to come out and see the stage show, what are the differences? What can people expect?
Well, like we were talking before, you know, in a movie, it's one eyebrow that tells a whole story. And when you're in a live space, it takes longer to tell it. So the two forms are just different. You know, I have a special place in my heart for the movie and the Broadway show, of any of them. You know, just it's a different art form. It's always wonderful to see. You know, the musicals usually come first, and then what are they going to do? Like Wicked is going to come out in movie form next year in the 2-part series. So everybody in the business of Broadway is wondering what's that going to be?
Yeah, and it brings a new audience too. People that may not want to watch a Broadway show or not into that, and it may be into movies and vice versa. You know? So that's good.
But Into the Woods is just so entertaining. It's so accessible, and you know, for an opera company like Tulsa Opera to produce that's a big undertaking. It's really amazing to see how the Broadway musicals enter that realm of classical voices and mix in with great works like Aida and Traviata and La Boheme and Carmen. You know? Yeah,
that's a great point. You know, too. And what's your favorite part of the show? Getting to be in this?
Probably the summation when it all comes together and you take a journey with the baker, and he gets to visit his father that he left all those years ago, and that's a very special part of the show for me.
Yeah. Well, Curt, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it, and we want to remind people that you can catch the show this Friday and Sunday at the Tulsa Performing Arts Center. Tickets are available online at tulsapac.com, so come out, check it out. Curt, thanks again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.